Hello everyone, watch this review here with my news and updates for the month of September, and yes, I know we're a bit into September at this point, I am running late, but you know what, I've been in mourning. I have been in mourning. In fact, let's all just take a moment of silence now for the cancelled Miss Martian and Superboy pre-order. Now, while this is kind of expected, it's still upsetting news. I guess they made it maybe 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the way to their goal. Not quite there, so they canceled it. And small wonder that it's canceled anyway, considering that, they're charging $50 for 2 figures, no accessories, when their overpriced figures at retail were a figure and a large playset for $20, which didn't work, so. And I really hate what Mattel did with the line. They just completely blew it. I mean, they should have opted for something closer to their existing DC Universe Classics configurations, which were operating okay at retail. I mean, I guess they were having enough issues that they eventually couldn't include a collect and connect piece in them, but rather than that, we get nothing. The one sort of ray of hope is that they're claiming that they're considering possibly doing Young Justice figures in the same style as the normal DCUs and releasing it in, say, like their All-Stars or Universe or DC Unlimited, I think it's called now. I can't remember. But in other news, I finally finished catching up to date with the Young Justice cartoon. I think it was only up to like episode 15 or 16, then waited for stuff to pick up a bit. Yeah, so far it's definitely been the best thing since Justice League Unlimited. I don't know if I'd say it's better than Justice League Unlimited. The one thing I dislike, originally I was kind of cool with the whole sort of continuing plot points between episodes where everything was sort of connected, but by the end it just gets really annoying, because every single thing, every small victory ends with like, oh, they made of one today, but this ultimately gets us closer to our master plan, or this loss was whatever, but we're still coming ahead. It's an incredibly annoying way to sort of run things and just sort of connect the stories, whereas the stories were connecting well enough by themselves because the individual members were having their own little subplots episode to episode, and you don't need to have some giant overarching thing where everything's interconnected with the light. By the way, the ending for that season is so ugh. Okay, my other big problem with the whole series is when they do have stuff, they tend to resolve it so quickly. The season finale, very cool concept. I mean, it sort of stretches credulity a little bit, but at the same time, there is some genius stuff going on there. But I mean, then it just wraps up in like, what was it, 2 or 3 episodes? I think the initial problem happens in like one episode, and pretty much the next episode they've already resolved everything. I mean, they could have run that for so much longer, but I guess it does become a sort of major plot point for season 2. Which, by the way, I'm even more upset about because season 2's Beast Boy is just a really awesome character design, and with the cancellation of the line, it's not entirely likely that we'll ever see him in figure form, and that's really lame. But the whole problem where like they introduce an issue, then shortly after it's quickly sort of resolved, like things aren't quite what they seem or whatever, sort of carries into season 2. Although at the same time you do sort of suspect some things will turn out a certain way, like let's say a character. No, I'm not going to spoil that. I mean, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But, the other thing is, I finally watched Dark of the Moon. And it was, well, Transformers Dark of the Moon. Without going to too many spoilers, it was pretty awful. It was not quite as bad as Revenge of the Fallen. I thought Revenge of the Fallen was absolutely horrendous. Although, they have a lot of really cool stuff going on. I loved what they did with Laserbeak. He was so awesome in it. But the sort of general, I guess, issues, as it were, I'm trying to pull up a poster or something so you guys look at that while I'm just talking. sort of carry over like almost all the plots with the main character. Was it Sam Wickedy? I can't remember his name. You know, the humans are completely unimportant. I hate how they always devote so much time to the humans when we're watching this to see the Transformers, especially where Bumblebee isn't even present throughout much of it. I guess he's off doing secret ops while Sam has his whole normal life. And of course, they bring in Sam's new love interest, which was even worse than Megan Fox. I mean, the other really big issue is where they're trying to work this character in. They had to have this whole backstory or whatever for her. And it just eats up time that could have been better spent elsewhere, in addition to pumping up the running time to, you know, sort of obscene levels. And that, of course, was apparently because I think it was Steven Spielberg was upset by supposed, I guess, anti-Semitic sounding remarks that Megan Fox had made, which, I don't know. You know, he's running the things. If something upsets him, by all means. It's just that's a little ironic that Steven Spielberg, of all people, is getting up in arms about racism, given how openly racist many of his films have been in the past, and, you know, to a lesser extent, how closely he's stuck to ethnic stereotypes, which in a sense are also racist. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom alone, you know, Steven Spielberg shouldn't be able to react to anything racist ever again. But yeah, that's kind of neither here nor there. It's just sort of something you think about because the whole film you're looking at this other woman and thinking, she's not Megan Fox. Why is it Megan Fox here again? Not that Megan Fox really brought anything to the other two movies other than eye candy. Actually, it's probably not fair to say. I still have to go back and watch the first one. The second one, mostly just eye candy. Otherwise, again, Laserbeak was really awesome. You get to see him talk, you get to see him fly around, he shoots stuff up. You know, just a very cool antagonist, very in the picture. The storyline was pretty neat. You know, some obvious kind of whatever flaws with it. But I think the story worked a lot better than Revenge of the Fallen. Sentinel Prime was really awesome in it. When Sentinel Prime was first revealed as a figure and stuff, I didn't really like the design. But you see him in the film, he's got this kind of weird squid beard thing going on, which isn't so visible in the figure. And the character's really awesome in the movie. But it's just that so much other stuff sort of just doesn't hit. And then, of course, you have the humans just easily beating up Transformers again, wondering why we even need the Autobots in the first place. Oh, by the way, we do see Shockwave. He is kind of awesome, but we barely see him. Like, 2 appearances, he's just with that giant worm digger thing, which I don't know if it has an alt mode or not. Sorry, I don't know if it has a robot mode or an alt mode. You just see it as the worm, the whole thing. And at first, it kind of looks like he's part of the worm, but I don't think he is. So, at any rate, once again, just not a whole lot of airtime. Starscream does appear. He does get some really cool scenes. Not a whole lot. You know, out of the whole Decepticon side, I'd say Laserbeak probably gets the most screen time. So, which is good too, because Laserbeak's actually a fairly versatile character. You see him impersonate a wide variety of items in addition to also just being himself. Now, sort of my biggest problem with the film, and if you've seen it, I think you'll probably understand where I'm going with this, is why the events of the film just didn't happen sooner. And there's really no logical reason why the whole thing couldn't have been stepped up, all things considered. But I mean, I don't want to really give stuff away by explaining what way I'm talking about, but, you know, just sort of like I'm watching this and thinking, yeah, this could have kind of happened at any time. Now, I'm assuming this will definitely be the last of the Transformer films, given everything that happened in it. As a franchise, or film franchise, I honestly don't think it was handled all that well. I think they probably took too many liberties and licenses and whatever with trying to adapt it for the big screen and make it, I guess, sort of appeal to a wider audience when, you know, I think the core content should have and would have and could have and all that stood well enough on its own. So I don't know. Does anybody feel differently? And personally, I would have preferred had they just gone with something more in line with traditional designs for many of the characters. But yeah. In other news, I obviously haven't been uploading as much lately. I mean, generally I was doing 2, 3, maybe 4 reviews a week, or just some videos. But part of it's just because the more time I devote to Tomopop, the less time I end up doing this. Partly because once you've reviewed X number of figures in a series, I think I've probably also ranted about this before. But it all sort of just washes together because a lot of the figures and stuff are mostly the same. I am definitely looking forward to picking up the DR's Rockmen, but in general I'm sort of finding that some of my enthusiasm for collecting has diminished over the years. But I think part of that's when you're first getting into the hobby, you're collecting a ton of stuff and you want to talk about a ton of stuff, but once you have like more and more, later on, each figure kind of means a little bit less, if that makes any sense. I will be having several reviews going live probably in the next few days, and I do have a whole backlog of older reviews that I shot and just figured I didn't want to upload a ton of stuff at once. So some of them, like the G.I. Joes, will probably have been stuff that I shot quite a while ago, just never got around to uploading. I think I probably also have some old DC Universe classics that I never quite finished putting together, but yeah, there's stuff you can expect to see in coming months, and some of the stuff almost takes a bit longer because I want to sort of do comparisons, and then like I picked up the Arkham City Killer Croc, so naturally I wanted to compare that to the previous Arkham Asylum one that I purchased, the DC Direct box set version, and naturally I have no clue where I put that right now, so that's sort of just been sidelined by the fact that these comparisons I kind of want to make, so I do them, and yeah. But yeah, stay tuned because next time I'll probably have, I think I'll toss up a review for Chernabog, because I already shot that a few days ago. And of course, Marvel Legends stuff from Wave 1 seems to be hitting my area again finally, so I did pick up a copy of Hope Summers. Then I also have a placeholder for Steve Rogers. It's got some paint flaws. I mean, if a better one shows up at retail, I'll return that one. Return the one I have, buy that one, whatever. It's also one with a Solid Shield, which is kind of crazy, because like when I first saw them, I thought, I don't like to look at the Ionic Shield, I'll wait for the Solid Shield, and then finally the Solid Shield came in now, then I'm looking at them thinking, I really want that Ionic Shield, and yeah. That's just the way it goes sometimes, but Steve Rogers on his own I don't think is a terribly fantastic figure anyway. It's recycled an older mold, it doesn't look all that great. Head looks a little bit too large, but I do want to finish Terrax just because I'm most of the way there already. I mean, if not for that, I probably would have just picked up Claw and who else? Well, Claw would definitely have been the big one this wave, but at any rate, that ran an extra 2 minutes just from rambling, but until next time, folks.